All right, good evening. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We're going to open the meeting. If you could all stand, if you are able, for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation under God. All right, we're going to start the meeting off with an executive session for town council. So I will move that we go into an executive session citing one MSRA 4056E to consult with the town attorney.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation? None, hearing none. Excellent. We'll take a roll. Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
The vote aye also. We will be back as soon as we are done. Counselors, leave your computers and phones here, please. Down to the office. All right, good evening. We're back again. I will make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second.
With a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. With that being said,
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to pass the Southburg Town Council public hearing rules for November 25th, 2025 as read. I will read them. Number 1, all speakers shall be recognized by the chair of the council. Number 2, speakers are to speak at the podium and must start by identifying their name and street address. 3, once recognized, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes for some, am I doing this too early? For summary statements and presentations, unless prior authorization by the town council chair. 4, statements shall be germane to the topic of the hearing, speak only to the issue at hand, no personal attacks or malicious personal statements. Doing so may result in your loss to continue speaking at the podium. Number 5, as this is a public hearing, everyone will be heard. Please do not reiterate or repeat the same points of topic already spoken. Number 6, please avoid speaking out of turn or engaging in back and forth, out of order and out of order commentary. Number 7, the chair shall identify persons for appropriate response and explanation. Number 8, the council reserves the opportunity to question or seek clarification on the speaker's testimony. Councilors shall request the floor through the chair. There will be an opportunity for follow-up and rebuttal testimony once everyone who wishes to speak has spoken. And number 10, after the second round of testimony, the chair shall close the public hearing.
second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the rules? Hearing none. Take a vote, Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving in, we will open the public hearing. 6:41. We'll start off with, do we have a representative from Bayfront Properties that would like to give us a quick summary? Would you please introduce yourself, sir, when you get to the podium?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, my name is Tim Phoenix. I'm an attorney at Hopeful, Phoenix, Gormley and Roberts in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'm here on behalf of the property owner Batham Properties and his principal, Brian Hussey, who was next to where I was sitting. He is here with his wife, Tanya, and his son, Alex. Batham Properties owns the property in question, and he operates Hussey Landscaping and Hussey's Excavation from that site. I have some business cards just so you can really know who I am. I'm gonna hand them out and you can just pass them out. While that's happening, I'll continue. We are here tonight requesting that this board approve a settlement agreement named as a consent agreement between the town and Batham Properties with respect to certain activities, primarily identified loosely as tree cutting. Right in my face. That led to a notice of violation earlier this year. We've proceeded since then with representatives of the town, Jenny for one, and town council through a process leading to a consent agreement that was negotiated. And we think resolves all of the various issues, claims and counterclaims that might exist in a way that is beneficial to the town, beneficial to the owner and applicant. We've included some things that we think are beneficial to the neighbors who have been expressed concerns about this, and of course would save ongoing expenses for litigation. So briefly, and do I have more than 3 minutes?
Yeah, do the fact you're doing a summary, yeah,
Okay.
I'll give you a few more than.
I was gonna have to speak really fast.
No,
I was gonna
since you're summarizing everything we're here to discuss.
Okay,
I'm good with it.
thank you. I just, that was red, so I thought, oh my God, I can't do anything in 3 minutes. So, the property in question was bought by Batham Properties in 2018. As you probably all know, if you've been in South Berwick any amount of time, it was bought from the state of Maine, which operated its, what I'll call its, highway maintenance and storage facility for many years. The Conical building was put up by the state. In fact, virtually all the buildings were put up by the state, and they operated a pretty intensive state operation for roadways and what have you for, I don't know, 40 or 50 years. They decided to sell it, and the Hussey family bought it in the name of Batham Properties in 2018. And at the time they bought it, it was approved as a non-conforming, and a permitted non-conforming use. And the change from ownership was vetted by Brian Hussey with the town to make sure that his business, which is primarily landscaping and excavation, was a continued permitted non-conforming use, because as we know, the area is otherwise a residential area. So I wanted to state that from the start. In 2023, Brian wanted to do some work. You've probably seen the bins that are out front that used to be treed, et cetera. So he approached the town to ask what he needed to do. And he walked away from those discussions with representatives of the town thinking, you can do what you want to do, but if you're going to be cutting, you're going to have to get a forester and get a permit. So Brian hired a forester who did all the cutting that's out there, which is the primary subject of the issues before us. And I wasn't planning to turn them in today because this is really about the settlement agreement, but I have texts between Brian and that forester, whose name I forget. I have it. Asking about the permit, and the gentleman confirmed, yeah, we're all set, got a permit, et cetera. Didn't think much more about it. That was finished, the bins went in, stuff was cut. And he was going along until 2024 when neighbors raised some concerns. He thought that was resolved. Then we come into 2025, and in, I want to say it was April, he received a notice from Jenny, a notice of violation alleging violations of various of the town's ordinance, primarily relating to potential cutting within the shoreland buffer. He didn't know that, didn't know what was going on with that. So some of the other allegations or statements in the notice of decision, I, as his counsel, found, I want to say objectionable, that may be a little strong, but that we don't think that we violated anything. So we appealed that to your Board of Appeals. We went to one hearing at the Board of Appeals, and it was continued since then. I want to say that was in June or July, I forget, was rescheduled. And then at some point along this continuum, we were exchanging information. I was exchanging information with the town council, not council. I'll try to make the distinction, town attorney. And at one point along summertime, August-ish, I was approached, do you want to talk about settling this? And as I stated at the outset, the point being that there's enough issues here and enough defenses to the issues that it makes some sense to try to find a way that would be satisfactory to Batham Properties and Brian and his family, and also to the town, while trying to provide some way to address the concerns of nearby neighbors. But I have to say, going back to what I said to begin with, his uses on the site are permitted prior non-conforming uses. And there's going to be activities on there that support landscaping business and an excavation business. Trucks come in and out, materials are moved, that kind of thing. So there is going to be some noise, and that's just what happens when you happen to live next to a site like this. We think that some of the concerns of the neighbors are based upon noise or whatever that they're getting from other sites, but we respect the concerns they've raised, and I'll get to in a minute some of the things we've tried to do to address those concerns. I'm going fast as I can. I'm told I speak fast anyway, but I'm almost done actually. So all of those discussions leading to tonight led to a consent agreement that was, if you will, negotiated between me on behalf of Batham Properties and your town council. A young man by the name of Grady Burns was primarily involved. He's been out. I've been dealing with Phil since he's been out for a while, I think on paternity leave or something. But the idea was to enter into the agreement, as I said, that identifies the issues, identifies our response to the issues, and then finds a way to resolve it. So what we've done is submitted to you for your hopeful approval the consent agreement, which is relatively self-explanatory, but I wanted to go into just a couple of things that we think this relates to. One is that Batham Properties at its expense is going to hire an engineer and or a arborist to give, guidance, as to what needs to be done to plant. And that is subject to giving it to Jenny for her review, then have her response, and then a planting schedule. When all this happened in September-ish, we were looking at possibly getting plantings done this year, but given the time of year, if we get this approved, the plantings are probably gonna be done, next year. But what this has done is resolves any potential litigation, saving expense for both sides. Brian has volunteered, and it's my opinion, that even if we were unsuccessful before the town with our position, we could have to plant, but wouldn't have to do some of the things that he's volunteering to do. The only thing that's really wrong, so to speak, is that the forester, not Brian, but the forester cut some trees in the buffer. Most of those are up at the kind of behind the conical building, a little bit down back. But that's the primary thing that was wrong and that we're gonna fix. So there's gonna be a planting plan for that. Brian has agreed or volunteered to put up a 100-foot long berm that's gonna be, I think, 5 or 6 feet high, and then that's gonna be planted with not little saplings, but good-sized trees that will over time grow up and provide even more sound attenuation for the people who live back there. He's offered to pay some fees, a sum of money to the town that it can deal with attorney's fees, call it a fine, whatever you want to do for that. And as importantly, he's agreed to limit his landscape operations. So we believe that the way this has come together, that it makes the most sense for everybody, if for no other reason than we get a known end and a known resolution without more delay, without more expense, et cetera. So we are asking this board to approve it. If you want me to go through anything more specifically in terms of the agreement of what he's gonna do, I can do that. I can give you the sections. But those are primarily in numbered paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 being where he's agreed to limit the hours. That's it in a nutshell. I was longer than I hoped to be, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer questions, but I think it may be best to hear other folks, and I may want to rebut or respond afterward.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And again, we let you go a little long because the history was what we needed.
Yeah.
We have the town side as far as we do.
Yep.
We just wanted to hear from Batham
Yeah.
and Mr. House's side.
Just really one more sentence. We think we have some defenses to not everything, but a lot of what was claimed he has done wrong. And we just don't think it's necessary to go through that and find out who's right or wrong. Let's get it done. That's sort of our attitude about it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, with that being said, we had the public sign up. Did everybody that wanted to speak get a chance to sign in when you came in? All right, we will start going through this. First up is Kim Cast. Please state your name again and your address.
Oh, my name is Kim Cass, 128 Hooper Sands Road, South Berwick. I rented Brian's house right there on 360 that highway. I lived there for, I don't know, 8, 9 months, and with my kids. And we're right on the property. There was noise, but nothing to the extent of, oh my gosh, my house was shaking or anything like that. I actually like living there. He kicked me out, but no.
Sorry, can you speak to the microphone?
Yeah, just pull the mic down.
Now you just made it really awkward.
Sorry.
So anyhow, I just wanted to say the noise wasn't as bad, and I was right on the property with minimal trees. I literally their front yard. That's really all I had to say about it.
Thank you.
All right.
Next up is Mary Hussey. You good? All right, excellent, thank you. Next up would be Jerry Tatlock.
There, I'm Jerry Tatlock, and I'm at 14 Roberts Road, so I bought the property right to the rear. I guess I'm a little
Make sure you're
confused
speaking
because
to the microphone.
Yeah, don't move the microphone.
Or we wanna make sure everyone can hear, make sure you're speaking into the mic.
sorry. A little confused because I think one of the big issues here is an expansion of a non-conforming use in the shoreline zone. I think a good portion of where the expansion is being done and where a lot of the excavating and works being done is in the shoreline zone. Going back to the consent agreement, I think it's nice that it's there. It's been a long time in coming, but I think it's lacking in covering the issues that are there. I mean, there's constant dump truck traffic, banging tailgates, backhoes, loaders, bulldozers. It's been constant noise, clouds of dust, exhaust from the machinery. I mean, we've had times in the summer when we can't even open windows because there's so much noise. In addition to that, I think we're concerned about the shoreland zone and in the 250-foot shoreland zone. I mean, all the ground cover's been removed. All of it's been excavated. There's been lots of material dumped in there. Concerned about sedimentation and runoff into the brook. Possible contamination from whatever is being dumped. And I just think that the consent agreement doesn't cover it all. I think a 5-foot berm and some trees is going to do nothing to protect neighbors from the noise, the dust, and everything else that's there. I mean, I really think, and I don't understand why there's never been a permit issued or a planning board meeting for anything here. And it seems to me like an expansion like that should have a major site plan review for the planning board, which addresses all of the issues that I went through that are problems. It covers all of those things and would be the fairest thing to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Next up, Rebecca Moses.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Losness. I live at 18 Leo's Lane, next door to Mr. Tadlock. I know that we only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to go right to the consent agreement. What I have prepared is much longer, so I'll just read from it until you tell me to stop, but I've submitted to all of you so you know the whole gist of everything. So I will start. As I figure out where. All right, so first off, I want to state that I agree with all of the points that Mr. Tatlock has just stated, so I won't repeat any of that, sorry. And I definitely agree with his recommendations for a proper site plan review and the property, especially to address the wetlands issue and the potential runoff or contamination by materials that we have no idea exactly what materials. He has a lot of materials. It's not just a pile of salt and sand. It's many materials of components we don't know what they are. So if there's any potential for contaminations, then, you know, we want to know about that and keep tabs on that. So I want to go right to your consent agreement. The consent agreement I find very inadequate because they left me out of it. And but regarding section 2, I was curious why it's just the CEO, Jennifer, that gets to sign off on your vegetation plan. Will we be presented with this plan before it's agreed to and signed? Or is it just out of our hands? And regarding section 3, I wish to have my map and lot number added to the paragraph so that berm can extend across to my property too, so I no longer have to look at it and the dirt that blows off that comes in my windows and I can never have my windows open and all that stuff. Regarding my house shaking, yes, it shakes. I'm not sure why I have this issue, but it does. Things vibrate off shelves and things shake. I've sent videos to the town of things in my office shaking. Computers, I work from home, my computer screen's always shaking, my desk is vibrating, it makes it really hard to do what I do, I'm a paralegal. Um. Section 4, regarding the days of the week. I'm recommending that it would be kind to have Sundays. Because most people are off on Sundays and it'd be nice to be able to be out in your yard and not have to deal with the noise and whatnot. And then, is that my time's up?
I'll give you the section 5.
Section 5, what's the breakdown of the figure that he's willing to spend and how much of it is a fine and what's attorney's fees and all of that stuff? I think that we should be provided with that information as well. I'll leave it at that.
Excellent,
All
thank you.
right. Good evening.
Next in the bucket is Mr. Howard.
Tom Howarth, I live on 19 Lord's Lane. I'm probably the biggest abutter to Brian. I've got like 500 or 600 feet of the back lot of his building. My father bought that land in 1960. And it was an operating state garage 35 years ago, I believe, when I moved there. And I've got nothing but good to say about the Hussey family that lived there. They've sloped the back lot towards my land. They got some vegetation growing where it was a real steep incline before. Cleaned up the woods in that whole area. I just feel like he asked all the right questions in town, as far as I know, and I have no problem with what he's doing. The noise doesn't bother me. Down there, we also have the Rod and Gun Club, and after a while of living there for 35 years, I don't even notice the Rod and Gun Club. That's a lot more noisy than any equipment going on down there. Also, I've worked in construction for 35 years, building houses around the seacoast, Kennebunk Port, Wells, Gunquit, Portsmouth, Durham. And I've been in this position before, where somebody has maybe encroached on the line and cut a couple of trees too close. Usually the state comes in, they'll have you plant a few more trees. Nothing to do with a berm or anything like that. Usually it's a replanting thing. I just feel like the Hussey family has also done a lot for this community. I know the town garage and the road department has used their pit for years, dumping debris in their pit for free, hauling sand out of their pit. And that's a huge asset for the town for the last, I don't know, 40 years, 50 years. So I think this is a little crazy. I mean, I don't hear the machines. I don't get any dust. I'm out there all the time. They've improved the property considerably. I think it looks great. And I have no problem with it. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you, sir. All right, next one, I'm gonna go with this. Is it Boy or K? Better? Hi, it's Kathy. It's Marshall writing. I should be able to read it, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm Kathy Better. I live at 12 Roberts Road, and I'm right behind Hussey's Construction. And I've been there for 42 years, and I have no problem with the noise, because it's just like hearing the trucks on 236, the blasting across the road, the gun club. So the noise is not, you don't even hear it. When you're there, you get used to it. And, another thing, I'm trying to think what the other thing is, well, I don't think, just the noise and everything, and the dust, there's no dust. I don't know why people are saying there's dust, but there's no dust. They live on a private road, whoever was talking about the dust, so, their road is dirt. And so I'm just saying that there's no dust at all. I've never had any dust, and I'm outside all the time. And, I just, I think the Hussey family is a great family, and they've done a lot for this community. And that's all I could say.
Thank you, and sorry about your name. I won't mess up this one. Tamara Steinhauer, you good? Mr. Phoenix, I will get back to you. I know you're on here, but I'll get back to you last.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know whether to sign it or not.
Okay,
Wait.
so you're, okay. Ashley Johnson.
Hi, Ashley Bjornson.
Sorry,
Can I just go?
got it.
All
Yeah.
right. Address is 5 Sanibel Way in South Berwick. We've heard a lot tonight. We've heard about the grandfathered prior non-conforming uses of the property. We've heard about Brian Hussey initiating dialogue with the town about him working with the town personnel to properly operate his business with the best intent. I've reviewed the consent agreement, and in this, Brian Hussey is reimbursing town incurred legal fees just shy of 16,000. Thank you, Brian. As a taxpayer, I really appreciate that. Brian is also hiring an arborist to remedy. The agreement also incurs the addition of a berm. In this consent agreement, as a town taxpayer, I really feel Brian is incurring a lot of costs to reach consensus and resolve this matter. It's really important for the town to consider the precedent that might be set here for a property purchased in 2018, a property on 236, which by definition is a state highway. And so when we think about a highway and we think about residing off a highway, there's a lot of things I don't need to go into that would affect a property owner in terms of noise and whatnot. I really urge the council to consider our town's goals and our future costs that might be incurred if this matter goes unsettled for a longer period of time. As a town taxpayer, it's my opinion that we really want to grow business presence in South Berwick. We don't want to saddle South Berwick businesses with unnecessary costs and burden. I urge the council to approve the agreement and resolve this matter with a valued member of our community and a valued business in this community as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes everybody for the first round that signed up. Do I have anybody that wants to come up and speak again? Anybody online? Anybody online? Mr. Phoenix, you're recognized. This time I'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I may have something else to say if people want to speak after me. I was hoping to be last, but I don't know if I am. But just a couple of things. Some of this has been mentioned. These houses are on or close to Route 236. It's a busy road. Traffic, pickup trucks, big trucks, tractors, cars. The gun club is there, which makes noise. Pike Industry is there, and I'm told that, at least sometimes they're blasting, so that creates noise. And I think the bottom line is, while I respect greatly the comments and frankly, the professionalism of the 2 neighbors who spoke, because you don't always see that, notwithstanding the rules that Mallory read at the beginning. I get, and Brian gets and respects their concerns, but the things that they're complaining about were things that were going on this property ever since he bought it. So the cutting that was done, it's that real issue here is cutting in the buffer. But it doesn't go beyond the creek, it doesn't go to the creek. And that's primary is 100 feet. There was some cutting there, we're gonna fix it. Complaints about dirt, noise, etc. We're gonna try to fix that by the berm and plantings. And I think that the effort to limit the hours is something he doesn't have to do, whether he even lost this. He can still operate his business the hours that he wants because it wasn't a condition. The agreement is self-explanatory. We think it's fair and reasonable. While I empathize with the neighbors, they happen to live next to a permitted business operation that really hasn't changed and isn't gonna change in terms of its overall intensity, other than this cutting that, remember, Brian didn't do it. And he didn't know it was gonna be done. He hired somebody to do it after understanding he had permission to do it. And that person is the one who cut where they shouldn't have. And it's not a huge area. It's probably 15,000 square feet total, thereabouts, but he's gonna fix that. There are others in support of this have already spoken. I won't say it, but we think this is a very fair and reasonable resolution, given Brian's understanding when he started all of this, that he had permission to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that being said, and nobody else wanting to speak, we will close, no, hang on, I will go back, yes, Mr. Catlaw.
I still question, and there's a lot of talk about noise and trucks and all that, and that's certainly an issue. But I think, I still say that the biggest issue is this expansion of a non-conforming use in the shoreland zone. You know, this cutting and this expansion is all in the shoreland zone. It's not in the area where the state was. I've lived there for 35 years. I remember when the state garage was working. And you know, this is not that. It's a total, another area in the shoreland zone that's all been cut and excavated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Costello, Boyd's Corner Road. I don't know if you guys can answer questions or not, but I'm just curious to know is what happens if this consent agreement is not agreed to? Like, what would be the next step?
Excellent question. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Howard will be our last guest speaker tonight.
One more thing I'd like to speak about is the brook back there. So I've got pictures of the brook, completely dry. I know it says on the map that it's Lord's Brook, I believe. But I've had this discussion many times. My father, like I said, bought that property in 1960. And he passed away 2 months ago, so you know all about that property. That brook has been completely dry. I don't know how that area is in a shoreland zone. I just don't understand that. I also built the houses right around the corner from that. On Lord's Lane, so this is ludicrous to me that, you know, if the questions were asked, they didn't get the correct answers. Why should he have to suffer and pay the bill to build a berm? I could see maybe planting a few more trees. Like I said, I've been in this position before that has happened. I mean, the brook dries completely up. It was dry this year in August. It's pretty dry right now. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you. With that being said, we will now close the public hearing at 7:08. We will start the regularly scheduled council meeting. For all of you longtime attendees, you will notice that tonight's agenda is different. We voted to swap it around. So the first up now is public comments. Are there anybody here that would like to speak on something that's not on the agenda for tonight? Anybody online? All right, seeing none, we will move over to the town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, would you like to consider whether or not you'd like to move unfinished business up first before we do all our reports and the crowd's here for that?
I think we just rearranged the agenda with the purpose of getting this information out for the people that are here.
So, why don't we do town manager's reports and comments so the council can have a moment to sit on thinking on what we just heard in the public hearing, and then we can move that up.
Sure. Town manager report for November 25th, 2025. Highway Roadfield Drive cul-de-sac has been shimmed and paved. For improved visibility at the intersection of Emery's Bridge and Boyd's Corner Road. They've taken down some rotted trees and blasted some ledge, and the highway department salted for the first time November 23rd. Police department had 5 arrests, 9 accidents, 126 traffic stops. Fire department had 10 calls in the last 2 weeks, brings it to 399 year to total. New ambulance 1 has arrived on Friday. Staff working to get it stocked and ready for The state EMS inspection, the used ambulance that was bought from McGuffin has gone to the dealership in Bangor for full service and be reletted. Planning and economic development, GIS neighborhood layer has been updated. Planning and economic development has started pre-planning for the growth of the neighborhoods. The active transportation plan meeting was held last week. Many walkability and bikeability challenges were discussed. The traffic on the back roads was noted as a problem. Transfer station, staff is receiving lots of compliments on the new siding that was installed on the new recycling building and the operations building. And the operations reason for the new siding, obviously the recycling building was new. The operations building, the rear of the building had rotted out. You could put your finger through the back wall, so we needed to do some repairs to it. So we've been budgeting for this for the last 2 years in capital improvements, and that's where the money was paid from.
Our new library director will be starting Monday, December 1st. In the recreation department, they will be having a gingerbread house competition starting December 6th. The gingerbread houses will be on display starting the 4th, and judging will go through the 17th. Carter House Hill is looking to join Home for the Holidays this year at the Hill on the 6th. There will be lots of activities going on between 10 and 2. The seniors had a scare workshop presented to them on November 12th by the South Berwick Police Department. It was a huge success. They received so much positive feedback that from the seniors, they hope to keep it going a few times a year. Assessing, the reevaluation manual for the KRT appraisal is outside on the table from the assessing office, as well as on the assessing page on our website. She is working on 25 valuation abatement requests. And she's also working on the real estate transfer analysis report, which reports to the sales, assessments, and ratios to the state for the confirmation of our ongoing certified ratio. In the clerk's office, in the last 2 weeks, they have done 203 motor vehicle transactions, 10 vital record transactions, and 8 notarial acts. In the finance department, we have 6 properties that have the potential of going to foreclosure. They have until December 11th to pay the payment for the 2024 taxes. The school in town district meeting was held at the new town hall in Elliott, which is very nice to see that. We had town clerk interviews, many board will be sworn in on the 7th. We had an employee informational center for the staff to have questions on the new plan for the new year. And we sat with 2 of the council members and did a budget training and assessing training. I am working with the auditor to finalize the audit, which will be presented to the council in the first meeting in December. We received 18 applications for the customer service representative position open in the clerk's office, and we will be doing interviews the first week in December.
Hope this works. Yes. Town hall renovation meetings, we've had 2 since the last council meeting. And meeting with Home for the Holidays Committee and working with them on getting items completed for whatever we can do to support the Home for the Holidays program. Been working with Chavez Brothers for the contract. We finally had the language finalized and the contract signed. The elevator had to have $5,000 worth of repairs. A new tank heat had to be installed for the hydraulic tank, and the fittings were leaking. On December 1st, town clerk appointment, library director appointment and introductions with staff and anyone who wants to attend. It's from 12 to 1 in the town hall auditorium. The town received a recognition from the residents saying thank you to the town crews that keep our roads in great shape. And currently working on labor contracts for the police department. Working with Charter Brothers and Oak Points for the renovation, continuing on that. Starting to work on the new budget with the finance director and assistant town manager, department heads. Monitoring the new EMS program upgrade with the fire chief and the EMS director, and working on finishing the code book with update with Councilor Schumacher. That's manager's report for this week.
Excellent, okay, thank you. Prior to moving that up, I would like to bring forward former Councilor Costello. Did she just, there she is. We have a captive audience tonight, I'm gonna do this in front of everybody. Oh, that's not. For those of you that don't know, but everybody probably does, Melissa was with us for 3 years. She was a fantastic addition to the council. We all enjoyed her and her questioning attitude. And I was supposed to present this the last meeting, but gave her index cards. So, the town of South Berwick thanks Melissa Costello, town councilor, November 2022 to November 2025. In grateful appreciation for your dedicated commitment and contributions to our community, citizens and town staff. Your effort helped make South Berwick a better place to live and grow. A million thanks for the town council, administration, staff, and the citizens. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
And again.
Again.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to move on number one. Unfinished business.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to move unfinished business number 1, up behind the town manager report.
Second, any comments? All in favor, Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Howard?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, possible action on Lapham Properties Agreement, the consent agreement. You have it. Please hold for a second while we skip through. Page 20. All right, so council has action to take on the public hearing we just heard and the consent agreement that we discussed earlier. I will make a motion to accept the agreement, the consent agreement with Bender Properties.
Second.
With motion a second, is there any conversation now? Yeah, comments.
Use your microphone, please.
I guess, my one comment is just related to all the people that showed up here today. I know how difficult it can be to make a statement in front of the town council or the ZBA or the planning board. And, I think, you know, both people on both sides, like, I appreciate it. So thank you.
Nope.
If possible, I want to ask this question directly to Brian, and feel free to have your lawyer speak for you if you'd like. As many people here have commented, I also enjoy your business. I've used it in the past as well. Are you happy with this consent agreement? Sorry to put you on the spot there.
You can choose not to answer.
I not answer, I'm not
Okay.
You want to say anything?
Okay, does a lawyer ever miss an opportunity to speak? So this is the answer, in my opinion. We haven't discussed it, but whenever someone enters into a settlement or a consent agreement, really, nobody's happy. Nobody likes it. That's the whole point, is that you're compromising. You're giving something to get something. Both sides are giving something to get something and mainly to end it. So speaking for Brian as a lawyer, I'm not happy with it. I hoped it would all go away when I started representing him, but being unhappy and unsatisfied are two different things. We're satisfied that this is a fair resolution.
Thank you.
Would it be possible to ask a question about that little part about where you guys left me out?
No,
Or this one?
at this time. There's a motion and a second on the table. It's with the council. That was for the public.
One comment. So I do think for the public, it would be nice to summarize what, if we don't sign it, somebody asked what, if we don't sign it, what happens? And maybe we just go through that, whatever those answers may be.
There are many answers. That's the problem with answering that question that way. That's why I chose not to answer the question. Because I don't know we as a council do not know the outcome if we choose not to sign. It goes back into the hands of Bethany Properties and the town. Where they go from here. If we choose to not sign it, it's goes possibly back to the ZBA to court and litigation. So, but we don't know.
I think the key thing to maybe to answer that question is that if we don't come to a decision today, I think someone had mentioned this earlier, we're prolonging this and potentially racking up additional fees. We're not correct. None of the corrections outlined in that agreement will be, no action will be taken on those. I think that's a sufficient answer to say that no action in the immediate term would be taken to correct any of these things, and we would be more or less kicking the can a little bit. I don't like that phrase.
So we've been dealing with this as a council for quite a while. Unfortunately, we have 3 brand new councilors that got put into this. Really to pick it up at the last minute. The consent agreement was finalized with the last sitting council with the best way forward for everybody involved. That's what we had thought as a board. Unfortunately, we ran out of time because, don't take any offense, but anything involving lawyers takes time. It's never quick. So, that's where we're at just for the public. I mean, this has been, again, 23-ish. It's been going through the works. Anybody else?
My one more comment, I suppose, would be related to the, in my understanding of the consent agreement is that there's no variance granted under this agreement to any of the ordinances. So the property is still subject to all of the town's ordinances. Correct? Correct. Yeah.
Last chance. Nobody? Hearing none? Nope. Yes, no, lost it then. Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0 to sign the consent agreement with Batham Associates.
All right, thank you very much for your attention to this, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving from there, we will go to council member comments. Joel?
This is the Romeo, right, John? Thank you everyone for being here and kind of talking about how you feel about a local business. I think there's a lot of positive things that were commented on. As was already kind of talked about, this has been a very interesting couple of weeks, but very happy to kind of move forward with it. I guess other comments that have come up recently that has happened. We had a very strong training on the budget and learning about how the process is with everything in the town. As a taxpayer, I was very happy to see how diligent the process is, where all the money goes. And there was also a very strong meeting at the school last week to go over the cell phone policy. Lots of good discussion from parents as well as a lot of students. And it was great to hear their percent.
Thank you, Joel. Mallory?
I have to post just a couple things. First, I would like to announce that I'm currently sitting in my 3rd term on the town council, and my term will expire next fall in 2026. And I just want to announce just this one time that my intention is to run for the State House as a Democrat to represent District 149. So I will not be seeking re-election for the town council here. This has been a wonderful experience, and I'm thrilled to be serving out my last term. Just wanted to take a moment and make that official announcement. I want to call out, I don't think Tim or Jen mentioned this, but we brought on a new person to help us with communications here in town, Susanna Ito, and she's been doing a fabulous job. If anyone's seen, there's been a lot of activity on our town Facebook page the last couple of days. It has been excellent, and I think that has been a very welcomed change. And I just want to commend the Public Works Department for I think what, at least for me, was an early snow sprinkling the other night. I know the team was out till about 11:30 on Sunday, earlier than expected, so thank you to Public Works. And I would also like to suggest that the council, that we at some point in the next few weeks, as we head into budget season, that we plan either within a council meeting or a standalone workshop, just a priorities discussion for the council, so we can all just kind of talk about what our priorities are going into our budget discussion. And so that's something, I guess, at this point, I'd like to, if everyone is okay with that, make a motion that we can put that on one of the agendas. So I'll just quickly make a motion to add a budget workshop and priorities discussion to our agenda for our next council meeting.
Second,
Thank you. Oh, your turn.
Wait.
I made a motion.
you made the motion, I second it.
We're still figuring out this chair vice chair thing. So then do I have to call the motion now?
No, you're good.
I go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, moving on from there was a motion and a second. Any discussion on having a workshop for the budget?
The budget workshop and priorities discussed, would that be related to the budget or? Okay,
Yes, okay.
That was mine.
okay.
Sam,
So,
you got a question, Paul?
I do.
Okay.
I agree with that. I would like to, I don't know if there's an opportunity to expand it beyond the budget. I mean, I think, we're all new members. I think we came in with some varying ideas on what we want to do, what we want to try to get accomplished. And I think the tendency might be to sort of like, just start throwing stuff out there. But I think, I would like to have sort of a more generalized opportunity to talk about what, what my priorities are selfishly and how they may fit with the town. And I mean, whether that fits within the confines of the budget discussion, I'm not sure, but, I think we need to have that opportunity since we have to make it.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Paul, was kind of an opportunity for us to, as a council, discuss what our priorities are that we want to, kind of set for the administration and talk about, and because those will impact our budget decisions. Yes.
Jim, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So your priorities should be exactly that discussion. It shouldn't center really realistically around the budget at that time, because we don't have any way to craft that. So it should be that, then prioritize, then when we get into the budget season, incorporate your priorities, try to incorporate some of those into the budgets.
Okay, now that that's ready. Sam?
it's the vote.
Yeah.
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Valerie?
I
keep on saying Melissa. I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0.
figuring this out.
Yes, yeah. Still with councilman comments. Sam?
My comment was actually similar to what Paul essentially amended to Mallory's, in that I think having, in addition to putting each of our own priorities out there that we essentially ran on, one of the things I'd like to discuss at that workshop would be some procedural stuff and how we bring up different ideas and make progress towards making them reality, and perhaps workshopping some sort of procedure to put into our manual to be able to do that more streamlined and more structured, if you will.
Not a problem. Paul?
Yeah, I just want to, I know there's been a lot of talk about food security and things. I think the food pantry is now open on Saturdays. I just wanted people to know that. I think it was not, it's hard to get that information. I'd be interested in hearing about the new communication person, for sure, what they are interested in doing. And I was with Joel at the budget meeting with Jen, and that was really helpful. And then we spent 3 hours with MMA, learning more about municipal government in 3 hours, and then we had learned in 25 years. So it was a crash course, but it was very helpful. So thanks.
All right, I don't have much other than I attended the veteran ceremony that was here, on Veterans Day. It was a great time as always. We had a slight elevator issue, but that was fixed. There were a group of, I think, 7 fifth graders that read their essays. And it gave me a lot of hope in the youth coming up with what they wrote about, veterans. Their parents, there was, a couple of tearjerkers in there where their father had passed away, Al Servant. But it was inspiring to listen to those, 7 or 8 kids stand up in front of everybody and read that to the veterans. So that was it was a very good experience. It was nice. Other than that, I'm good with council member comments, and we will get back into the meat of the meeting, which is approval of the following minutes for the public hearing for October 8th, 2025. Do you have any corrections?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I request permission from the chair to go back to the town manager report, the one item that I missed.
Yes, sir.
So, in reference to that, we had the opportunity to meet with and hire as a contracted, specialist, Suzanne Esposito. She's a professional communications, person. She's done the job before in other municipalities. She now owns and runs her own business. And, she was doing this for the library board free. Asked us if we needed any help, which we said absolutely we do. We would take, she's a wealth of knowledge in public communications, communication specialist. A wealth of knowledge. We're so grateful to have her. We were able to use some of the money that we'd allocated for Councilor Schumacher's contract position that now expired because you come to council, to take us till July 1st, but we now have a professional communication specialist on board who's helping us craft and get out information to the public to answer, Council Joel's last first meeting was that we need to improve our communications, absolutely, and we've taken a huge step to do that. And we're very excited to have her. If you start to look at some of the posts, including the informational posts on our Facebook page about meetings and the agenda and so forth, that was all her. She's diving down in and it's wonderful. It's absolutely great. I think the more communication, and she explained it this way, we speak in a municipal term. The public doesn't understand it because they don't understand our lingo. So gonna craft the message between what we're saying and what the public needs to hear. So I forgot to mention that earlier. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Jumping back to approval of the zoning ordinance, public hearing. Corrections.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the public hearing minutes, for the renewal of the Auras medical cannabis license from November 10th, 2025 as written.
Second?
Mr. Chairman, point of information,
Yes.
the document is actually missing a motion that actually opens the public hearing with no time stated.
You are correct. We'll fix that.
You.
Make the correction, I just,
Oh.
the public hearing, we opened it early, earlier. 6:30, we'll have to watch back the recording.
We'll fix that. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to table, or to move the public hearing minutes, for the renewal of Auras medical cannabis license to our next meeting on December 9th.
Yes. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion moving that forward? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Joel? Aye. Valerie? Vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Next on the docket is the South Berwick Town Council meeting minutes dated November 10th, 2025. I move to accept the Town Council meeting minutes dated November
I think
10th, 2025.
I was just gonna chime in, we do have some edits for these ones, we can take care of it in the motion. I'm gonna revise the motion.
Go ahead.
Actually, Paul, do you wanna, cause this is related to your edit. Did you wanna correct your comment?
This wasn't fixed.
Yeah, on my, counselor comments, I said the exact same thing that Sam said preceding, to the word, which I don't think was correct. No disrespect to Sam. So, I don't know whether you want to come up with that language now, or?
We could just pretend you were saying.
No, I was being really kind to everybody. I would say Councilor Schumacher, thanked, Melissa Costello for her service. Everyone who ran for the town council in the fall. And also, mentioned the need for, a policy on municipal recounts and better communication of, election results. And I also thank the town clerk and her staff for their quick response to getting the recount done.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the town council meeting minutes from November 10th, 2025 with the amendment Paul just read.
Second. Okay, in a second. Any other conversation on this?
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
No. Yes, discuss it.
Under the section where it mentions the plaque given to me,
Yes.
it lists me as chair of the town council and vice chair. That should be corrected as. Although they're nice.
So corrected.
Thank you.
Moving from there, Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Yes, aye.
Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I'll vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. This is what I get for count medicine. Signing of the treasurer's warrant.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to sign the treasurer's warrant dated November 20th, 2025, in the amount of $241,104.04.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any conversation on the treasurer's warrant? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Mallory? I vote aye also. No, it doesn't have the $800,000 school payment, so it's under $1 million. Moving from there to reports and presentations. We have a presentation by Oak Point and Charter Brothers and Vice Chair Cook on the town hall renovation. Thank you, gentlemen, for standing by through all of this. Would you like to come up front and give us your presentation?
I'll go ahead and get us started while you guys, if you don't mind coming up to the podium. So we have Peter and Tyler here from Oak Point Associates, and Mike Dean is here from Charter Brothers. I'm just gonna kind of kick us off. They're here to, our intention for this evening is to get the entire council up to speed on this project, to update the public on our budget situation for this project, as well as for the council to then make some decisions as to how we want to proceed. Oak Point is going to cover, and Monique, could you pull up the slides for me? Thank you. So I'm gonna cover some key project milestones just to get us kind of to where we are now. And then Oak Point's gonna bring us kind of through like the 50% design phase and also talk about some project contingencies. Charters Brothers is gonna take us from 50% to kind of where we are now and cover a bunch of other topics. I think you guys are all open and available to answer questions if we have any. And I think I welcome the council to chime in if you do have questions. So Monique, you can move to slide 2. Key project milestones. Nope, next one. Thanks. So just very high level, I'll just talk through this to get everyone up to speed. Back in summer 2024, we hired, or shortly before that, we hired Oak Point Associates, and they conducted studies and determined that renovating this current building would be less costly than building new. Around that same time, we put it to the voters. We had a big public hearing in August of that year, and then in November, we had put it to the voters to more or less decide on how we wanted to proceed with the project, and the decision was made to move forward with renovating this project. Then in early 2025, Oak Point conducted some extensive field investigations and developed the design for the 50% level. And then at that point, we hired Charter Brothers, and they've been with us since around mid-2025. And they are considered our construction manager, and that's Mike Dean standing And here now we're at this place where we have been working really hard on cost mitigation efforts to get us from that 50% to the 95% level. So that's my very, very high level overview of this. I will pass it over to Peter, who's gonna bring in a little bit more detail.
Good evening, I'm Peter McGovern, I'm an architect with Oak Point Associates, we're in Portsmouth and Biddeford, Maine. I'm the architect and project manager for the project, and so if you go to the next slide, I'm going to take those last three that Mallory touched on and just discuss them a little more, not too much. So the schematic design work, what we did there is we go in and we really figured out what we have in this building and what we need to do. Once we get that developed, that's when we go into the 50% design develop. 50% design documents. And that's when we start to really fill in the meat of the sandwich and get some of the details going. And it's detailed enough that the estimate we can give to Charter Brothers, who's a construction company, who is their construction manager, helps develop then the cost. Like, okay, you have this idea, is it going to really work? Can you build it for the cost you're saying it can be done? So that's where we go between the value management, we call that, and the 95% design documents. Those are really a sort of a rotating thing as Charter Brothers comes up with ways to save money, we come up with ways to save money. It helps develop those designs and the documents. The plan of the building has not changed in any real big way since the concept design we presented last summer. There have been minor floor plan changes, not any changes in the overall scope of where people are going to go. We're still going to have all the public, the most public facing, I'm saying divisions, but departments down on the renovated first floor. Town management and some of the more less public on the second floor. We're also going to be having a new town council meeting, the same conference rooms in the same place. The only changes have really been improving bathrooms and providing more bathrooms, especially public ones, down on the first floor level. So that hasn't changed much. We've made sure that our materials are not fancy, but durable. And we've really looking into the long-term success for this building, for the 100-year success. That's what we're wanting to do. So that's why we're improving the whole efficiency of the building for the mechanicals, which that's what we're going to be talking about, I'm sure, soon. So that's once we got to that 95% stage, really working back and forth with Mike. Mike would put it out to his subs would come in with questions like, it seems like you're missing something here. How is this going to be connected to this? And we would immediately issue, well, not immediately, is probably Mike would want it quicker, but we would give them updated drawings on the fly in collaboration with those questions, like here's the answers, and then so they can give Mike a better cost response. We got up to that stage. We're at the current stage in the project. We have submitted a set to the State Fire Marshal Office for approval that yes, they bless the project, everything meets code, you have the right fixtures, you have a safe building. So we just sent in that a week ago, and we're still also working with Mike and his team.
Great. If you want to go on to the next slide, I can speak a little bit about some of the changes that we've made in the organization of the budget. So when you look back at the original documents, we had a kind of a comprehensive budget that had the construction, the administrative reserves, all the professional services. One piece that's changed are the two contingencies that were included. We had included a 5% big contingency. We put those into all of our projects in anticipation of some sort of a market fluctuation increase over the 1 year that it's taken from essentially from the referendum date until now. And then we also have the construction contingency in place as well. And that's really in place because it's an older building, it's over 100 years old. We know that as we start working in on the construction of this building, will be unforeseen conditions that we need to make sure that the project can take care of, and then overall manage the entirety of the budget. As we've working on the guaranteed maximum price that Mike's gonna discuss later, we've actually moved these all into that one line, so they're being managed as one lump sum item. It's a little bit easier for us to track overall as a total project cost. So that's kind of the one major change that we've made in the organization of the budget. The bottom line on that point hasn't changed, though.
Good evening, can you hear me okay? Mike Bean, Vice President with Charters Brothers. As I said, I've been working with the folks at Oak Point here to get this thing underway. So just to recap a little bit about our involvement. We were brought on board, council voted to award to us on June 10th, which we're very grateful for. And shortly thereafter, we received the 50% documents that were referenced by Peter. We worked over the next couple of months to put that 50% set out to the market and submitted our 50% budget on August 7th. Unfortunately, we were coming in about 1.1 million over the budget. I'll just say that this is not unusual, and it's part of the reason we enjoy being brought in earlier in the process, so that you as the town, as the client, don't find that out at your 95% stage or when you're ready to get under construction, because then you got a real problem. So we set out with the team, as Peter alluded to, just so value management exercises, really just brainstorming, throwing any ideas out that we could come up with as a team as to how we can cut costs and be more efficient with the design, all the while allowing Oak Point to integrate those changes into their 95% set. So that's that August 13th to September 16th timeframe. We'll show you on the next slide, but just our kind of our working document, we call it the event log. This is not meant to be read in this context, more just to show our work. So 86 line items. And of those, we'll just step back 1 second. I'll finish one thing on that prior slide. So we'll talk about more about that value engineering in a second, value management. That's what I was looking for. Of those, we adopted roughly 970,000 worth of projected cost mitigation strategies. So of the 1.1 million working back, a significant part of that. Some of that at that stage is still projected in that brainstorming exercise. Some of it we're able to go out and get good market pricing on. Some of it is an order of magnitude based on prior experience. Some of it's a target that we're setting for ourselves to cut costs. And so it still needs to be realized through the 95% set and through that competitive bid process. So we did receive the 95% set on September 17th, and then November 10th, we submitted the 95% guaranteed maximum price. And that's for the full taxpayer approved scope as it was originally conceived. We'll jump to the next slide. So specific to that value management and refinement exercise, these are just some of the high points to see how we got to where we ended up. We did do some revisions, worked on some revisions with Oak Point on the wall envelope detailing. There's some systems that are specific to an old mass masonry building that we needed to get our arms around and make sure we were completely understanding. We did receive a favorable industrial hygienist report, so we recommended to the town that we go out and do a survey of the building, make sure that there's no abatement that's going to be needed, or if there is, figure out what it is. Fortunate for the team, came back pretty clean. There's a couple of things that need to be dealt with, but we were able to reduce our allowance that we had been carrying at the 50% stage as a hedge against that quite a bit, saving almost $100,000. We've got some alternate specs that we're chasing for window manufacturers, acoustic ceiling manufacturers, things of that nature. Those not quite known at this moment, but those are definite savings opportunities. We aligned the photovoltaic system with the expected grant, saving around $100,000. Talked to DPW, work coordinated with them. They're able to contribute some resources to the earthwork scope, saving about $150,000. Clarified the vault door requirements, state mandate requirements for that vault, saved $18,000. And then just as a, sort of a last ditch to make sure we had options as we got to the 95% set. We worked as a team to identify things that could potentially be described as alternates if we needed to go down that road. But seems that the consensus of the team is to make sure we get everything that the town voted for, with the budget that we have. Next slide. So this is just showing the cost evolution, a little bit of a kind of a heat map approach, just to show at a high level where the movement has been moving left to right, starting with the conceptual estimate that Oak Point did, 2024, and the 50% estimate, in the next column that we did in August of this year. The delta column is sort of heat mapped there, and then the last, white column there is the 95% GMP. Last two heat maps, one is 50% to 95%, and then conceptual, conceptual to 95%. And the major note on this particular slide is just that even after the value management and refinement, the 95% design budget is remains $382,000 over the original budget. As I mentioned earlier, some of that savings we were coming up with was projected. It wasn't all realized, and there were other elements of the 95% that added detail and added cost. Next slide. And then just three things worth drilling down on this heat map. So Division 7 is the roofing, the thermal and moisture protection area of the budget. In the original conceptual budget from Oak Point, the roof scope was conceived of as sort of a patch and repair scope, whereas now we are carrying a full removal and replacement, including R60 insulation to make sure that it's meets current energy codes and allows the mechanical system to be as efficient as it can be. Division 14, the original elevator scope was conceived of as a somewhat stripped down electronic components replacement. What we're carrying now is a full modernization of that elevator, more or less everything but the cab itself getting updated and replaced. And then Division 23 has been one that we've been chasing here. Several elements to this, but one of them is certainly as market conditions. When Oak Point looked at their estimate now almost 18 months ago, they had about $30 a square foot carried for HVAC, which was not necessarily unheard of. When we put it out to the market in August, it came back about $40 a square foot with still some information missing. And where we sit now is closer to the $60 a square foot range with the quotes that we have. So nearly doubling of that division over the life of the evolution of the estimate. Next slide. So this is just one point we wanted to make, was that we don't estimate with our own quantity takeoffs, labor rates, material cost. These are all subcontracted packages. We are a construction manager, not a self-performing general contractor. So we went out to the market and solicited a number there's very hard to read, but it was over 300 overall quotes, 335 overall quotes. We were engaged by the market by 242 bidders, and ultimately we had 129 bidders across all divisions of work that agreed to submit a proposal for the project. So just again, making the point that it's a market-based estimate. And then I think one more. Right, so where we sit now, just want to highlight the risks of any delay at this point. We are under contract with the GMP. We are working through interviewing key trades and looking to make awards to those key trades now. And so some of the risks that would be presented by any delay at this point, cost escalation over time. We've heard of known increases coming in the January 1st timeframe. There's expiration of the bid hold periods. Everybody's quote's got an expiration date on it. So if we exceed those expiration dates, we risk having them invalidated. Biggest risk probably, as I see it, is key trade contractors taking on other projects and can no longer staff our project, meaning we would have to quote unquote buy up to the next vendor. Lead times on critical path materials and equipment could deteriorate. And then there's an actual elevator savings incentive from the bidder there that expires on 12/31.
And then just to kind of round this out, from the town's perspective, really where we're kind of left, where the council's left is, we have some options. We can continue with the current budget that has been approved by our taxpayers with, it's about $7.3 million. Or we can potentially ask taxpayers for an additional amount that we could discuss. But the implications of those decisions are laid out here. So if we continue with our current budget, the impact of the project scope is basically the project is gonna be reduced. There will inevitably probably be some things that we're not going to be able to complete within that budget. Of course, the pro is that we're not asking for more money, we're not spending any more money. But a con would be that we've acknowledged that this is a 100-year-old building. We very much anticipate that there probably will be some surprises once construction starts to begin. And then most importantly, the impact to taxpayers, in the event that we continue with our current budget, financial implication to the taxpayers will be nothing. But from a community perspective, we would have an incomplete town hall that's not aligned with the taxpayer decision that was made in August in 2024. The council could opt this evening to vote to schedule a special town meeting, which is something that is available to us in the event that an expenditure over $10,000 is required, that it does require a special town meeting. So the decision for us to make this evening is whether or not we want to do that and for what additional amount. In this event where we were to say and ask the taxpayers to approve up to a certain amount coming out of the undesignated fund, this would allow us to complete the entire project. Again, that was approved by our taxpayers. It will give us a little bit of financial cushion to cover any of those potential surprises. And I think most importantly for me is it allows us to be able to do this right versus cutting corners. In my tenure on the town council, there's been a lot of implications that or issues that have had to be dealt with regarding this building because someone made a cost-cutting decision many years ago. And I don't want to set up future councils and future administrations with those same problems. That's my opinion. Of course, the con there though is we are spending more money. The one thing that I think is really important I want to make sure lands here is that the impact to taxpayers in both scenarios is, from a financial perspective, is nothing. And I know that sounds weird and that doesn't make sense, but we would not be asking for additional money from taxpayers. No one's wallets will be affected by this. We would potentially be drawing some additional funds out of our undesignated fund, which is more or less our rainy day fund for costs like these. And we have plenty in our undesignated fund as it stands today, above and beyond the requirement that we are supposed to have by law. However, in the event that we went with the second option, we then are delivering a complete town hall project that is aligned with what the taxpayers told us that they wanted. So that's kind of rounds out the presentation and the situation, but I'm sure there's lots of questions. So I'll let John take over and.
We'll start with opening it up to the general public real quick. Do we have any questions sitting in the room? Seeing no, okay, we have one. Ms. Steinhauer.
I'm not, Tamara Steinhauer, 19 Hill Drive. I'm not sure you have an answer for this tonight, but I know, we follow pretty closely the whole process. And I remember there being a list of must-haves and a list of nice-to-haves. Where, do those lists reside anywhere? Because I can't find them.
The specific list for the must-have, nice-to-haves is definitely in a presentation from summer 2024. I can't remember the specific date, but around that time frame.
Okay.
But what's important to note is that everything presented this evening includes all of those. We have the must-haves, nice-to-haves, includes all of those nice-to-haves because that's what the consensus from the public was that we wanted all of the nice-to-haves. So all the budget numbers presented this evening is inclusive of all of that.
Okay, so I guess, my comment would be, we need to look at the nice-to-haves. And you've said several times that this is what the town voted for. The town voted for a plan for an amount of money. So I think if there were nice-to-haves, maybe those need to be looked at and cut.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Okay, we'll throw it to the council. Sam, you had your hand up.
I guess my first comment is about the impact to the taxpayers. I know I know like it's from the undesignated fund, but that's a savings account that taxpayers have put their money into. So to say that there is no financial impact if that money is taken out of the undesignated is, to me, it just doesn't sound entirely accurate. You know what I mean? Outside of that, I have some questions for the contractors, but I can save those if other people have more broad questions.
Yeah, I have this might be for extended chat. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers and I guess actually, one of my questions is there's a number of 382 and then there's a number of 750K. And if we go to a special town meeting, I think we need some clarity on which one of those numbers and why we would be asking for that. But I think for you two, my understanding after meeting with you was that we actually there was money that the bonds were issued and we have interest money that's accumulated over the last year and a half. Would we be using that for this? I know there's money in the town hall, the public facility, the town hall, not town hall renovation, but a town hall account. And, I'm just trying to figure out where, without, how much we would actually need from the undesignated funding. And what other options we have to sort of mitigate some of those costs.
I'm gonna start with like where the project team was kind of thinking. So the slide says we're up to 750,000. I'll be honest, that was a number that this group kind of just thought that was an appropriate number that encapsulates that overage, the 382,000, but then gives us a little bit of extra cushion for the event that other things may come up. But I think it's really important to note that amount is for us to decide. So if we're comfortable with 750, we could do that. We could change that number. And again, it's for up to and only to withdraw those funds if required. But if anyone else has anything to add, please do.
There is the interest from the grant, yes, that we got that funded that this spring. And we do have, I believe, $80,000-ish without looking back, that we would use those funds first before digging into any of these undesignated.
So it's not working.
Oh.
So there's still about, I'm looking on this slide with the heat map of the cost of evolution by division key drivers. So the town construction budget with grants, that's the approved amount, right? 6.7. Taxpayers said this is what we're willing to pay. Is that accurate? Plus it would be 6.7 plus the grants that are expected.
6.7 is like the construction budget, then the additional 600,000 that gets us to the 7.3 million is largely administrative fees that are not part of the construction budget, but I'm gonna have you guys keep me honest.
The 6.7 is inclusive of the added grants.
And the two contingencies.
Yeah, yes.
So the grants. Okay. So what the taxpayers are 7.3 then?
Yeah.
Yes, the full kind of approved taxpayer dollar amount is 7.3 million.
Okay, so the over under 382 would be all the divisions, including one and the contingencies and fee. Minus the 6.7 is basically essentially requesting to get back up to your 10% contingency level. Or what?
So you have still.
You have about 275,000 left.
We have 9% contingency within our GMB.
To get to that 7.08.
No, within the schedule values that we presented. So in a 95% scenario, 7082901, there's a contingency in there of 658,774.
Okay. And so if you subtract what would the minimum that is, let's call it the minimum 382, maximum 750, that is the range of what potentially we could be asking for from the undesignated fund. If you subtract that 382, that 658 doesn't go below zero. You end up having about a 4% and change contingency going into from 95 to get from 95 to 100%. So you still have contingency money in there. You just want to revamp the account before you get started in construction.
Yeah, because if we fully, yeah, if that's essentially the idea, so we fully fund the project, get all of these items that have been kind of pushed below the line back into it, that 9% contingency shrinks quite a bit. And I think the concern is that, given the age of the building, understanding where things are, that contingency is likely not going to be enough. But our goal throughout this entire process is to not go over that, so I'm not sure if that answers your question, but.
No, I just wanted to clarify to make sure that it's sort of known that if we do nothing, your construction budget, it's 7082, and I don't know what your contract, I haven't looked at your contract, but essentially all of the stuff that's being proposed in that 7082, all the actual items, right, are covered.
Yes.
And what's happening is your contingency is shrinking.
Yes.
Yeah, to your point about the contract, it's a CM at risk, so we are at risk, and we wouldn't be comfortable going to contract with that small of a contingency with a building of this age and complexity.
Okay, that makes sense. The 382 that we would potentially allocate out of the undesignated fund would be entirely owner controlled, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So does the town have a process in place by which, after it were to be moved from the undesignated fund, how would that be authorized during construction to be used?
May I answer that?
Yes, sir.
So in the, we'll be having weekly construction meetings. Or whatever they are, weekly or bi-weekly. And in the contract talks about change orders and work orders, so anything that's outside the scope of what's in the contract now would have to go through a change work order, which would have to be brought to the owner's rep. The town, we would have to authorize it, see what it is, confer with Oak Point and the team that we work with. And then decide that, but we're not proposing to, so in the end, we're not proposing to take a chunk of money out of the undesignated. It's gonna just stay there with your authorization that you, the council only, not me, only you can approve withdrawals out of that to cover any contingencies that would happen. When we started this, we didn't really talk about an owner's contingency, and it's quickly that came up. On several occasions, we didn't have an owner's contingency, so I don't know if that helps clarify the answer, but there's a process. The process that will be in place will be, we can't exhaust any money out of the undesignated, only you can. So we would have to submit the change orders, approve them at the committee level, they'd have to come to the council level, you'd have to approve them.
And is in the CM contract, the language clear enough so that we know what unforeseen conditions are the responsibility of the CM, and what would it be owner required, be a change order?
Yes. Yes, that's clear.
So it would be then a discussion, whose contingency does this come out of?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I made sure the language from our side, from the attorneys, was that all change work orders have to go through both Charter Brothers, Oak Point, to the team, to us, and to us, the council. So it's a 3 or 4 step process. Because as you and I have discussed, and I want to say to the council that I did have a good discussion with Councilor Flingstrom earlier in the week about this, and I appreciate your time on that. Thank you. I'm not an expert in this area, so I have to rely on other people who might have other expertise. I certainly don't want to make a mistake. We don't. So we're looking, to make sure that our T's are dotted and our I's are crossed, which is why I probably gave you 1,000 questions the other day.
Yeah, I guess I do have, I definitely have reservations to at this point, when you're at 95, and I understand from a CM standpoint, you know, sub 5% contingency going into construction in this building, it's low. But it's not completely exhausted, and I think there's still value engineering efforts that remain to be looked at, specifically with respect to HVAC. And potentially the systems that, you know, are being proposed, and I think there's more work that could be done to build that contingency back up on your side. I know obviously that takes effort as well. I also do think that it's a good idea to have some sort of path for us as the town, as the owner, to have some money available as an owner contingency, like I sort of talked about the other day. But to fully sort of supplement, bring that back to 10% at this point before construction's even started, and, you know, to me seems a little premature considering the time frame that it will actually take to do the special meeting and, you know, potentially get that money allocated out of the undesignated fund. I know once demolition starts, the unforeseens will start to expose themselves at that point. And I know the design process obviously has, you know, the engineers and architects up in the ceiling looking at the existing systems. So I guess one question to you all, is there anything about this building, knowing that a lot of the stuff is going to be demolished and completely replaced, that would be, you know, oh, this is what we've seen in the past in this situation, that we don't know it exists? I know it's unforeseen, but you know, there's certain division that stop that.
Look into the crystal ball is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Couple things that we've talked about, masonry restoration on the exterior of the building. The last thing any of us wants is to wrap up the project, and you know, we've got some spalling where this 1920s era, it's not rebar, it's pipe, and it gets damp and it expands and it pops the face of the precast off. We've engaged a few masons on this, and what they've said is your best bet is to go around and kind of sound the exterior precast to make sure that there's nothing that's about to break that we want to address now. It remains to be seen how far that scope could creep. We have an allowance for it in the GMP. We discussed the team's tolerance for risk in that regard, but we might exceed that allowance. That's another note. There's cracking in the slab of the north stair. Water infiltration seems like it may have occurred, but we won't know that until we take that slab up and start to look at, is compaction issue, is there a water issue, is there a utility there that needs to get addressed? Those are the kind of things we have to look at.
Structural. Yeah.
There's also a small concern about the existing plumbing and the sanitary lines that are buried that we can't get to, but the condition of those, and, you know, so it's until you start opening up the walls and digging up the floors until you can really see the condition of those, so.
I would just like to add, you know, I think with the project team and all of our discussions, I think the group, our intention is to, if taxpayers do approve, if we move forward with scheduling a special town meeting and taxpayers were to approve that, our intention is to pull as little as possible out of that account. And this is more or less kind of an effort for us in anticipation of just kind of the state of the economy and the age of this building, and just the way the budget is shaping out right now. This is kind of a proactive attempt to just make sure that we have everything to cover the project, and that we don't have to come back and ask again, and or we come to a point where we're like running out of funds. And so that's kind of the motivation behind pulling together this idea of scheduling a special town meeting. But again, it is up for us to decide and discuss what that actual amount would be, but I just want to share that context too.
So if we don't proceed, is the CM contract, what are the conditions of the CM contract with respect to their contingency, or they say we're not gonna do it?
That's not in there at this point. This is outside the contract. The contract is what we have with the 386,000. Then we're gonna sign the pendency fee, which would be the PPM final document. the final price, so we just were here, and I think Mallory jumped in or Jen. What we ended up with, was that there was so much being reduced to get to the bottom line on, you know, whether it was the front shrubs, not, you know, just not fixing the floors or just varnishing the floors or repairing the floors, stuff like that. You know, the doors, you know, just repaint, easing old doors, just got to the point where like, you know, we're nickel and diming project to nothing. And if that's the contingency, that if that's the piece we need to finish it, then that's what the taxpayer voted for more. Not, obviously not to give us extra money, but, you know, and then I talked to some other town managers, a Dunquick for one, Elliott, they all had some minor or some major, Dunquick's major because they're a big project. Because of the market fluctuation, they've had increases in their projects like we're facing now, unforeseen. But it just won't hold up the project, it's just, when we get to 15 months out, signing the last checks, we wanna make sure that we have, you know, looking in the crystal ball, we have the right amount, or we've done it the right way.
And I'll say too, for myself, you know, in our discussions, we were, Tamara had mentioned earlier, you know, the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves, and what are those items, and maybe we should consider getting rid of the nice-to-haves. And we definitely had those conversations. One of the things of the nice-to-haves is like sound system for the third floor. That was something that was included in the nice-to-have. And again, this is just coming back to trying to reconcile with what we made a big promise to the public to solicit their input and have them weigh in on this project, and we did, and we kind of, I think, got to a place where it was, we were starting to have to cut too many things to where this project wasn't feeling complete. It wasn't true to what the taxpayers had said that they had wanted. And Tim mentioned like the landscaping was a big thing that we had identified as a thing we could potentially not do, but then we're delivering on a project with a dug up front yard, you know, like, and I think I'm just kind of rambling about the different, thought processes that we went through, and we ultimately decided that making this case of just given the state of the economy, I think like all of the price increases, I think are very unfortunate for our project, but very understandable and very explainable. And I think a lot of us aren't particularly surprised by them, given the state of the world and the state of our economy right now. And this seemed like an appropriate way for us to try to figure out how to move forward while still delivering on the project. Anyone have any other questions for the experts here?
I wanna go back to the owner versus contractor controlled contingency, because I mean, just from experience in project management, you guys are gonna protect your contingency as much as you can and use the owner contingency as much as possible. It just, I mean, it's finances of business, right? So my concern is that if we have this contingency that the lines aren't clear enough, and I like, again, I haven't looked at the contract, but like, is the scope of work that they're expected to execute at this dollar amount clear enough that when it comes time to decide whose contingency is gonna get used, we know whose it is? Because one of them being controlled by the town, obviously we want to protect our contingency as well, right? So if there's not clear enough lines in the contracts as to whose responsibility is to pay for whatever the unexpected cost is, you know, like, maybe you can explain more clearly, like
Your approach of how you manage it versus.
yeah, you could probably explain it away. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not trying to like say you're anything you're not.
So I have my own philosophy on the matter. We also have contracts in place, to your point. We have a number of repeat clients, and we understand institutional clients in particular, the pain that can come with going to ask for more money. So I get it, we're incentivized to follow the language of the contract, we're also not here to make your lives miserable. We're trying to be team players and, you know, we can have collaborative discussions about how that contingency gets used in a fair and equitable way. I mean, if we don't use that contingency, which is our goal, of course, the savings on that contingency accrues 100% to the town. If we are able to buy packages more aggressively, again, moving quickly to the point of my last slide, we realize savings based on aggressive buying of those packages, that money accrues to the contingency. And again, if we don't use it at the end of the day, it accrues to the town as savings.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna be heavily involved in the project all the way through. I'm not. We can do certain things at a project management level where we say, okay, this is a gray area, or maybe this is pretty clearly an owner item. You know, let's agree to fund it through the construction contingency. For now, we've made it through, you know, 50% of the risk, but we've only used 20% of the contingency. So, you know, we don't want to have to ask for that change order if we don't want to, if we don't need to make, you know, bringing it to the council level and voting for it and all that. But the contract is the contract, to your point. But I consider us a user-friendly construction manager, is my point.
Echo that our Oak Point's approach is very similar as well. When things come up, our team gets on it. We're not a nickel and dime company. We're not gonna hit you for, you know, changes on every small thing that is unforeseen. It's something that we just take care of. So we share that commitment. Our team's been involved heavily throughout this value management process to make sure that you're getting the quality and the scope that was intended. And we've had some really great discussions throughout this process that I think have got to us to this point where, you know, we're off by a little bit, but there's been a lot of hard work to get to this point. So hopefully with that has resonated with the council and the rest of the project team, and we plan on continuing that through the duration of this project.
For the time frame and the market change, you're not off by that much.
Yeah.
You're really not, where the market was when we first started talking.
And also, you pointed out, is there more that we can do to help reduce cost? We're very open to you coming in, or anyone coming in and giving us ideas and talking to our mechanical engineer. None of us are mechanical engineers, so if you have specific questions tonight, we might not be able to answer.
I'll stay away.
But yeah, we're open to that, and that helps reduce the cost as the project goes along. But what we're asking for tonight, I think, is more the time frame. Do we have time for us to go through that process and then come back and still end up where we are tonight and say, oh yeah, you're right. It would be nice to have a little extra cushion, that not that we're gonna touch it. But if we do, we can move on it quickly without going to the town every time something comes up. That's what it is. We're not asking for money, we're just asking for some access to the money in case. We hope to, if it's perfect world, we don't have to touch it.
But if you need it and we don't have it, it's gonna take too long to get a town meeting for us to get it.
Exactly.
That's the problem. The process is gonna take way too long to get you. If it was 100,000, it's gonna take too long to get you $100,000.
Yes.
We're gonna double that waiting while we get in the town meeting.
But we're sitting here potentially scheduling a meeting for this year.
To get money, to be able to use money as a contingency fund in case they need it. We're not gonna do anything with it. It's just sitting there. But if prior to the project starting, yeah. If they start in 8 months from now, they need money, it's gonna take us a month and a half to get a special town meeting together. We've wasted the time.
So and I think that's where, don't get me wrong, I don't wanna get to that point. I really don't. I think that not having started construction and knowing what demolition reveals, I think time actually is on our side in this situation. I don't think, you know, knowing that they still have some contingency going about, you know, 4% at a 95% level. So, okay, yeah, you got 5%. And I understand it's not a lot, but in terms of a time frame, if 2 months from now, or whenever they pick off and we get one of the floors demolished and they're like, holy crap, look at this structural condition. We may have a better idea as to what the actual need is. And at that point, I think there would still be that 6 or 8 weeks. I think that would allow us to get that special meeting, knowing that there still is a $250,000 that they have for that initial maybe, oh crap moment.
So reversing the big picture, does it make a difference? Because we're either gonna vote for it in 6 months or we're gonna vote for it now, and we're not gonna vote for it now.
Well, also just a question on that too. Did you guys say earlier you're not comfortable moving forward without a certain amount?
Yeah, in a sense. So we are contracted as a CM at risk. Means if we exceed the GMP, we are at risk. In that scenario, we have to calibrate our own risk tolerance, and on a building of this size, scale, and complexity and age, we're already actually below where we would normally be at 10%. We're at 9%. We did that as one piece of the puzzle as to how to try to get us as close to on track as we can be, but we would not be comfortable contractually having less than 9% at our disposal.
And that's, like I said, just playing the other side of that, saying whether we do it now or whether we put it to the town now, or we put it to the town in 4 months, we're still gonna be putting it down in a special town meeting. It's not going anywhere, we're not using it, it's not losing interest. It's sitting in the account if it needs it a year down the road. That's the only thing, that's my way of looking at it, one way or the other. If we vote to do it, we get it in the done bin and get it to the town to vote on. Or we kick it down the road and then there's something else going on, and it's just easier, if we're gonna vote to do it, get it over. And let the town decide on whether it's the right thing to do or not. If they decide no, then we get down that road.
I think that the other piece of this is risk. If you take this to the town and the town says no, we're gonna adjust our project approach now. We're gonna make some of these harder choices now, where if you do this 4 or 5 months down the road, we've completed the documents, they've done their buyouts. You're gonna be a much heavier financial commitment at that point than now. You're gonna have many fewer opportunities to make some of those corrective actions. So it really is gonna come down to what your council's level of risk tolerance is gonna be. I think that's kind of the balance you're discussing tonight. That makes sense.
Just one comment too about your bid process. Looking here, you had 335 and 129 came back bidding. By any chance, you know, just an estimated number of the amount that are Maine owned?
I don't have that information. We can certainly get it for you.
Just a personal preference. The more people that we could get that live and work in Maine to work on this project, I prefer that.
Understood.
You're gonna be really uncomfortable over the next few years.
Just a nice
Another thing that I just wanna add, regardless of where we land with this decision tonight, is that, this project team, and when I say that, it's been me, Tim, Jen, and then these guys, and then, some different folks from Charters Brothers, no point in participating, but I would say, I think we would very much welcome, like Sam in particular, you have an expertise here. If you wanted to join the crew and be part of that, I think that would be very much welcome, to have another kind of person in the field there, if that's the thing. And same extends to other people as well, but Sam, I know your expertise is a little bit more niche. So that's another option too, just moving forward, so you can be more involved.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah, sure.
I would echo that, and I would say that based on what I know, I think a 30 to 45 minute phone call or Teams call or whatever with you involved in the mechanical engineer, I think could go a long way too. Either putting your mind at ease that we've done the homework or generating more ideas, because we don't have a monopoly on good ideas either. We're happy to take your suggestions. So.
Sounds good.
Anything else on this topic?
I just wanted to state that Tyler and I both live in Maine.
I would also just like, I really wanna make sure everyone understands how much hard work went into this, and we spent a number of weeks as the entire group really going through and really trying hard to come up with ways to reduce the dollar amount on the project. And I really commend Charters Brothers and Oak Point. You guys have been fabulous partners throughout all of this. And we're really happy to have you be part of this project.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
I would ask council for motion and vote to appoint Sam to the project team committee, please.
Move to appoint Sam to the Town renovation
Project team.
project team.
Second.
Motion a second, any discussion?
Is that a duly authorized committee that had been created previously?
No, it's just the
Yeah.
group established to work with the construction.
But I wanna make sure that.
For the purpose of, you know, future decisions related to this project, should the town council create a committee, much as there is a building committee? So that when decisions related to potentially using this contingency arise, it would be by some sort of committee.
They should do that and then appoint the owner's representative. The owner of the project name.
But I think all of the decisions around like where the money is spent, that's gonna come before this body of five.
Correct.
Period.
But
So I think we are the committee.
would there, right, so should there be an actual appointed committee by the town council? I don't know, this is a parliamentary question, I don't really know.
Honestly, no, not at this point. I don't feel, but that's just me.
I mean, I think, I agree, I think like how we've laid out, how the decision-making process would go if we were to get the approval from taxpayers, that ultimately it's the council to make those calls, and I think, like you, Sam, if we appoint you to the project committee, I have been participating in that as well. I said committee, I meant team, but we can kind of brief the council and get everyone up to speed on that, but then I think the council is the voting body on how to proceed with that. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So an appointment is in order for that, that's not really a.
We have a motion on the table to basically appoint you to join the project team. And participate in the project team meetings if you'd like. That's, I think, what's on the table.
Okay.
But it just, one more.
Yeah, I think it's just
It doesn't,
for our minutes to just document that this decision was made.
Okay.
Suggest.
it's falling.
Going from that, Sam, how do you vote?
Aye.
Beautiful. Paul?
Yes.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
All right, I vote aye also. Are we complete with the presentation? Thank you, gentlemen. Sorry
Thank you
for
very
being
much.
so late.
Thank you for your time.
All right, being cognizant of time because we do have a 9 o'clock turning in pumpkins. We move on to unfinished business number 2, discuss special town meeting for town hall renovations.
So what we need to discuss is date, time, and dollar amount. If this is something we're going to entertain, when we want.
First, we have to discuss whether we want to do it or not.
Absolutely,
Come up with a
exactly, of
date,
course.
time, and amount.
So need a motion on whether to do it.
Right now, we can discuss
We can
it
just discuss.
because of the consensus of the council is we don't want to go to town meeting.
The wording of the, or is that behind this? Oh, yeah, here it is. Right.
I would be in favor of going down special for the meeting.
I mean, I think regardless, we have to have one, correct, because based on the feedback, without additional funding, the project will likely not. Would kind of have to pause.
Correct.
I think we should be clear, just for the purpose of communication too, that it is the owner controlled contingency. I think that would help people understand
Yeah.
a little better, and even if they just Googled that, they could, you know, learn a little bit more about what that is and that. Any disbursements from it would be another vote by town council.
So we can make sure that's included in the language for the town meeting.
Warrant,
Yeah, yep, fantastic. So that being said, I will make a motion to, well, hang on, we're still here. We gotta come up with an amount, yeah.
So again, 750 was a number that the team had just kind of discussed, that for sure covers the around 382 we're projecting right now, and then gives a little bit of extra cushion. I don't necessarily, I'm looking to the team, there wasn't a lot of, what was driving our 750?
Or like a sort of a 10% of
Yeah.
the overall budget kind of thing.
Thank you.
It's a little more regular at 7.3, but 7.50 just.
Yeah.
7.30.
Thank you, Peter. I'll just repeat that, so for the recording, the 750 is about 10% of the overall project cost, which makes sense.
Just a question, so for Jen, so would all of that come from, say we did do 750, would all of that come from the undesignated fund, or would we I mean, what's the flexibility there as far as using other funds?
If the residents vote that we can take up to, then we can take up to $750,000, or we can take $500, whatever we need,
Yes, it's all gonna come from undesignated.
when we need it, if we need it.
Well, and I'm saying this because again, after meeting with you the other day, there's money in the town hall renovation, there's a town hall fund that we've been collecting over the years. There's money from the interest that's sitting there, so, and, you know, I don't know what the status of the undesignated, I know we have a lot in undesignated, and I would probably just leave that up to you guys to figure out what the best place to pull.
So anything we have in the town hall fund now would be expended before we touch anything we took out of undesignated. Any interest would be expended before we took out of undesignated. So all those funds would be done prior to us touching undesignated.
Correct.
Correct. And then we were supposed to have a month and a half, give or take, in our undesignated fund, right? We're supposed to be able to cover a month and a half of bills.
I have these numbers.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's why you're the finance lady.
So the balance in our undesignated after our current obligations, the 200,000 to the Great Works Land Trust. And the town hall renovation currently is the 1.35, 1,351,000, leaves a balance of 6,836,000. We need to have 3,951,000 for an excess of 2.99.
And what's the current interest on that?
1%. Well,
So,
And we also have the 6 million from the bond in an account collecting interest as well,
yes, and that balance is about $85,000
in interest.
in interest only.
And so that's an additional, you know, we would, so that 85,000 or whatever it is at a time, before we would tap into the undesignated fund as well.
Correct.
And that disbursement from that, that's part of the initial warrant, so that doesn't need to be.
Correct.
Okay.
I did check with legal on that. You must use the interest for the project, whether it's
Okay.
towards the loan payment or towards the project
Okay.
itself.
Thank you.
council wishes on how much?
$750.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to hold, what, we didn't talk about date and time. Our next council meeting is the 9th. And how much notice do we need to post? We just need a week.
7 days. But if you're gonna change the language on the, warrant, then I have to send it back to the lawyer and have it, which it can be changed. It should say after the word town hall to be designated as town's contingency fund. Is that right, Sam? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, just something, something specifying that the town council has control over it.
Owner's contingency.
So then the motion for us to make then this evening would be to revise the warrant language for our next council meeting to include the owner's contingency language. And then at our next meeting, we can then schedule the special town meeting.
Back to 23rd.
Yeah.
Do it right, so I would say we'll put the amount in, make those changes. And then on the next meeting, the next council meeting, we'll have the final draft to approve. You can set the date then.
Okay, so our next council meeting is the 9th, so we could technically schedule the special town meeting to sometime be the following week, like we just need 7 days. Notice.
You do, but I would recommend, before you do that, I would recommend, as we talked about previously, I think we should have a public hearing for it.
We need a public hearing before this goes, because we need to make sure the town is well aware of what we're doing, so we have more than 5 people in this room. Making a $7.5 million or $750,000 decision.
And it does take a couple days to get into the newspaper too.
Yeah, so we're rolling into January, we're rolling up close to January, but we need to get it out there publicly.
Does it need to be a formal public hearing or can it be a presentation ahead of the special town meeting?
It can just be whatever you wanna make it to the council. It can be just a presentation, it can be a public hearing, it can be whatever.
We need a public hearing would require another 7-day notice, correct?
No, saying that's the,
So we're already
Or in January.
We're in January. I did have a question. I mean, I thought there was some urgency to this
Yeah.
prior to the end of the year.
There is.
So I think we need to sort of
Is the,
keep that in mind.
is the change that Sam was suggesting, which I agree with, is that substantive enough? To not be able to move forward with this?
Well,
Like,
if you put a date and time and an amount in your motion, and any motions to amend that,
okay,
then as that language. That after the renovation of town hall be designated as the owner's contingency fund. When I send it back to you, certainly I'll have all that, then next December 9th meeting, you can vote. You can approve that and then post it to pick a date, post the date. So in other words,
So is it?
I'm not trying to push the, kick the can, so to speak, with respect to that. If like you said, Mallory, if it's not substantive and we
Yeah.
can communicate it properly and. It's obviously, this language isn't in their contract, so it's. I feel like, to your point, yeah, it's just needs to be communicated.
In the presentation.
Well, we have a new communications period, so there you go.
Well, so if we're able to change everything. And we have our next town meeting on the night that we can vote on it, can we tentatively plan? I feel like we should have a meeting just for this. On the 16th, outside of our typical rotation, to get people as much time. To speak as well, can we put a tentative hold on the 16th?
we do, sure.
Say
Yeah.
subject to change.
I mean, I think what I understood is that I think if we make the motion and say 7:50, this date, et cetera, and make sure in the motion we're amending the language in the warrant. As we discussed, that we can go ahead this evening and go ahead and say, we're gonna schedule the special town meeting for a particular date. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
so you could hold exactly what you said, Joel. You could hold an informational meeting or whatever public hearing, whatever you wanna call. it. If you don't want. And then on the 16th, and then on December 9th, you could schedule a special town meeting for your town council meeting on December 23rd.
Okay,
Or you could schedule it on December 30th. Have you preferred?
And the intention of getting it before the calendar year was related to holding pricing.
Yeah.
But but isn't there the CM's under contract, so.
You'd have to ask them, what their subs are.
Like was,
is there a risk
In
to us
terms of-
keeping this into January?
yeah,
What do you want?
so basically, is the end of year in terms of this contingency piece critical? Or it's January for this meeting and the town's input?
So our contract is signed with the GMP at the number that's in front of you on that 95% estimate.
708.
Correct. So there's nothing encumbering us right now from awarding subcontracts.
Okay, gotcha.
We started having interviews with key subs. We're prepared to start making awards. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, which means we're actually at risk, to. So that money. Wouldn't that imply that this money would go back to their contingency? I would, yes.
So could we have a public informational session on the 9th? I mean, well, that's our regular scheduled meeting.
Sorry,
No, it's. Yes, I was
I
suggesting that we do one on the 16th in between our meetings to give people just a meeting dedicated to this.
And my suggestion is that I agree that we do it in one meeting, but like. Let's ask people to come to one meeting, get the information and vote, not come to a meeting and then come back to the next week. It's December, like, so I think if we don't have to hold a formal public hearing and post it. And this is more about our desire to get everyone up to speed on what's happening with the project and all the budget stuff. To me, I feel like. This should be a presentation that happens at the top of the special town meeting for us to say, here's the scoop, here's all the information, here's the decision before you, and then vote.
So where we hold, this is being held as an open floor town meeting. You have 7 days to advertised, the warrant has been printed and posted. Do not have to have a public hearing or an informational session because it's an open floor town meeting. So therefore, people can, so that particular night, if whatever night we choose, you're gonna do the special town meeting, you can do a presentation right there if you wish. That's up to you. But you don't have to hold anything. It's 7 days notice for a special town, open floor town meeting.
So why don't we have, make it, put it to bed, have a public hearing on the 9th prior to our scheduled meeting. Because we're not gonna vote on anything, the town is gonna vote, and then the 16th, we can have the special town meeting here where everybody comes and votes. That would give us plenty of time to get it out, that 3 or 4 weeks. Gives you an off week if we don't try to hold business after the special town meeting. We could end up with a whole bunch of people here for this vote. So the 9th, we do a public hearing for 6 to 6:30 or 6:30 to 7, we do a public hearing. 16th, we do the town meeting. With an open floor town meeting and vote.
Does this need to be held at the high school?
No.
No.
I don't think you're gonna have that many people. But if we
No,
do it-
no, I'm just saying from like the high school now, our official
yeah,
voting
No,
location.
because the high school only has to be used when it's state of Maine or federal election, or town election, you can hold it.
Okay. Okay, so if we're gonna proceed with John's plan, then the motions that we need this evening are the motion to schedule a public hearing and a motion to approve the warrant language with the amendments and schedule a special town meeting for the 16th. 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm gonna just. Yeah, well, let's go with that.
I will go ahead and make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the town hall renovation budget on December 9th at 6:30 PM here at Town Hall, third floor.
Second. The motion is second. Any comments on the public hearing? Of the 9th?
This is a formal public hearing, not a public information.
Correct. Just like we just had. We'll have plenty of information and we can go back and forth if they have questions.
And then the following week,
Yes, the 16th, if, yes,
the next motion goes through here, would be the special.
the special town meeting. Okay, Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Just a potential thing, for this special meeting on the 16th, is it possible to schedule it earlier to accommodate people's schedule better?
When we get to that motion.
Okay, great. And yes.
Mallory, or Joel, yes? Mallory?
Yeah.
I vote yes, motion passes 5-0.
So then the next motion would be, I just wanna make sure where do we wanna stick the new language about the owner's contingency and the special time?
After, at the very end of the sentence on Article 2. Where it says, for the purpose of funding anticipated increases in the cost of repair and renovation of town hall. Be designated as the owner's contingency fund.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion to schedule a special, or to approve the special town meeting warrant language, with the date December 16th, 2025. With the added language, specifying that the funds would be owner controlled contingency. And that to be held at. What time? I think 6 o'clock is usually the earliest we usually have any public business. So I'll say 6 o'clock. Here, third floor town hall.
Second. We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Sam?
Aye.
Joel, Paul?
Aye.
Joel? Aye. Howard?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. All right, moving down to unfinished business number 3.
Chairman?
Schedule- Yes, sir.
You gotta vote on the amount.
Oh, shoot. Can I just redo the motion? I'm gonna go ahead and redo that motion. Go ahead and make a motion to adopt the special town meeting warrant language with the date December 16th, 2025. At 6 o'clock PM on the third floor of town hall. And then the amount will be $750,000. And we want to include the language that that $750,000 is an owner control contingency in the special town meeting warrant.
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Yes. Joe?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Jumping down to rescheduling training with the lawyer. You have a time and date?
December 2nd, 6 P M here at Town Hall.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to reschedule our training with the town attorney from, supposed to be yesterday, November 24th to December 2nd at 6 P M on the 3rd floor of Town Hall, and I believe we will have a virtual component. We can accommodate a virtual component.
All right, second, any discussion? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Yes. Joe? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Getting down to new business right on the wire here. Discussing scheduling a workshop for the personnel handbook.
Oh, wait, you skipped number 1. Library board.
Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry, number 1, schedule an interview for the South Berk Library Advisory Board.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna make a suggestion that we schedule an interview with the library board applicant Dolores Leonard in our first meeting in January, on January 13th at 6:15 P M.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Moving on, we'll vote. Sam?
Aye.
Gal? Aye. Joel? Aye. Valerie?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Now moving below to scheduling the workshop for the personnel handbook.
Can I interject for a moment? I just have a question.
Sure.
Is there, do we need to make sure we take care of new business number 3 this evening and confirming the town clerk's
Yes.
position? I'm gonna make a motion that we move new business number 3 up so we can get that taken care of before 9 o'clock. Just so everyone knows we can't take up any new business after 9 o'clock.
We have 9 minutes.
We have 4 minutes.
I'm sorry,
Your computer.
I apologize, my computer is
Second.
off yet again. Okay, yes, motion in a second to move it up. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Beautiful, all right. Let us confirm the town clerk position. All right,
Aye.
you don't get a vote, Logan.
Mr. Chair, I would like to, make a motion to confirm Monique Ward as our new town clerk.
Will proudly second that. We have motion in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Valerie? I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Monique, you're stuck. Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations. All right. Now, Ken, can we get my computer fixed? Again.
With me, yes.
Okay. Now we will discuss scheduling the workshop for the personnel handbook. What's anybody's wishes? I'm going the end of January. Or end of January. Anybody?
I think, I would be fine with that. I do have a question. I guess. Would we, I don't think what Sam brought up is, a 2-hour long meeting. And I could be wrong. I mean, I certainly don't plan on going into personnel policy in detail. It was proofs and vetted. We had lawyers, we had a HR consultant. I think there was good points brought up. I don't see that being like a major a workshop. And I'm wondering if we would have an opportunity to maybe, sort of roll in another, possible workshop on another item.
So the only problem with that is with the fact that one, it comes to us for changes, but nobody works for us. Right? The only person that works for the town council is Tim. So 99% of all the people that are controlled by this personnel handbook actually work for Tim. So with us trying to decide changes, I want to be cautious with that for one. So we need the lawyer and we need the HR rep in this meeting. So they're gonna have to be there for this. So could we roll something else into it? Yes, possibly. But I don't, if you want to discuss something after it, I'm okay with that. But we're gonna have HR and the lawyer with us either virtually or here in person. to discuss any changes that we need to make to that, because it was written and vetted by the lawyer and HR. So that's the only caveat to this workshop, is they're gonna have to be there with that. That's what we need to get into.
And I also will just say, I mean, our agenda item this evening is discuss scheduling workshop, so an option could be, if there's not consensus on the council to schedule a workshop, that also is an action that can happen here too.
Correct. Yes, we can take the vote whether we want to schedule a workshop or not.
I'll just make a motion to postpone, a decision on this item until the next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Anybody want to make the motion I always make?
I will make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for staying so long. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, fine.
Please stand around to sign